Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here with John Fitch. It's Mixed Martial Mindset, the post-Christmas, pre-New Year's edition. And I just want to say, New Year, same me, bro. I'm not one of those people that needs to wait for the first of the year to change my life or change a behavior that I already internally understand is negative to me. If you are one of those people that's constantly talking about how you're going to switch it up, hey, I got news for you. Do it December 29th. Do it July
Get
26th.
going now. Just go. Just let today be the first day.
Fitch,
So
why don't
just
you
go.
speak to that for a minute? Because there's so many people that fool themselves into believing they need a magic day or it's all going to change
Well,
because this
well, I
happens.
mean, it's true, very, very much so. You don't need a special day. You don't need a special time of year to get going. But I will say, I don't hate too much on the New Year's resolution people because it can help to ride waves of motivation. And sometimes at the beginning of the year marks a beginning, a new becoming. The days are getting longer, the weather's changing day by day. So sometimes it can be good to jump on um, some momentum, a momentum train. Like for me, like I get busy with stuff after Halloween, right? Halloween and Thanksgiving, and you're snacking, and it gets colder, and I hate the cold. I hate the cold, and I hate working out in the cold. And so I get a little winter fluff. I get a little winter fluff from Thanksgiving to New Year's. It happens. So it's a natural time for me to set a new go point. Beginning of the year, New Year's, because I got about 2 months until my birthday. So like I want to look good in my birthday. So I got till the end of February to get my jacked on. So I feel good about being 45.
Well, you should feel good. Well, you're not quite 45 yet, right? You're 44, right?
It's coming up. But I mean, like I said, you know, you have this little fluff period. I'm a little chunky right now. Pants are a little tight
Mm-hmm.
because I've been enjoying the food and the festivities. So I'll start getting on it, and I can use my birthday as kind of like a training camp like time period. It's good to work in little sections like that, I think.
Well, I don't necessarily think it's bad to do that, right? We all have our vices, and there are certainly times. I'll be honest, it's not so much the holidays when I'm gaining weight because obviously the holidays are here. I sat there, I cooked a whole turkey. I've been picking at
Mm.
turkey since Christmas Eve, but I'm not really picking at carbs until I hit the apple pie.
Yep.
And, I've got family and stuff around. I've got to fit work in. I find when I'm on the road, I have less time to eat all the time. You know what I mean?
Harder to find good food too.
That's also true. But one of the things I try to keep away from, which I'm not always successful at, is hey, there's nothing open past 10 p.m. other than Taco Bell or
Mm.
McDonald's or something of that nature. In fact, since the COVID 1984 nightmare, it used to be one of my favorite things to do, especially being a night owl, being in the bar business, the game, being in the late night pizza business, was that late night I'd either go to a 24-hour Denny's, or what I'd really like to go to is I would go hit up a Walmart at 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 in the morning, and then pick out my meal right there, and that would be my dinner before bedtime. I'd get myself some steak and vegetables, it'd be fresh. Now you can't do that. You can't because everything closes at 10 p.m. I am lucky in one respect, but again, it doesn't really fit with where I am in my schedule. When I'm home in Iowa, there's a thing called a Quick Star there, and it's a gas station, but they have produce, and they have
Mm.
steaks, and they have meat, and it's pretty decent quality, almost Hy-Vee like. So I can go there and have at 2 and 3 in the morning, but it's not the same thing because I'm at home and I'm also on this schedule where I'm getting up
Hmm.
at 5 in the morning. You know what I mean? So I'm not cooking at 2 or 3 a.m. You know what I mean? It's just bizarre, man. I don't know that we're ever going back to pre-COVID, but we're starting to see that. One of the stories I actually wanted to talk to you about is I'd say the reorganization of Hollywood and the death of the movie star. Okay. I want
Yeah.
people to check this article out here. The last true movie star, from flying jets to motorcycle jumping off a cliff, Tom Cruise has gone above and beyond to ensure his action movies remain a true spectacle. So, can he ever be knocked off the throne? And it just highlights that other people like Brad Pitt, that are supposed to be movie stars, and The Rock, that are supposed to be movie stars, they're not doing the numbers anymore. And in
Mm-mm.
fact, go ahead.
No, yeah, it's like star power just isn't quite the same. And I think, I don't know, they've made it, this younger generation, they've made it really easy for people to gain notoriety without doing much. And a lot of these stars are realizing that just being known is as important as, or gets you as far as like doing a lot of skilled work. You know,
Well,
it's like it's cheap buzz, it's cheap popularity, and you can have somebody film you putting firecrackers in your ass and get as much fame as like dedicating 2 decades of your life to being the best actor you can be, and you'll get just as much notoriety and as much money sticking the firecrackers in your ass.
maybe more, or just
Maybe
because
maybe more.
yeah, just because you have a certain figure, you're
And you
dancing
didn't
to a
have you didn't have to touch Harvey Weinstein's pee to do it either.
not yet. This kind of intertwines into another story where it said that movie receipts are set to just total 7.35 billion, which is 33. That's a huge chunk. That is one third lower than before COVID. Now, I want to remember people to remember that prices have also shot up. And people are complaining, supposedly, I don't think this is it, that there's not enough blockbusters to go see. I think the streaming thing has a lot to do with it. But to
But the
me,
movies are terrible too, though.
you're
You
not
know,
wrong.
quite honestly, like when's the last time, streaming or not? Like, it's not just that I want to see the numbers and viewership total, because I feel like it's not just that people aren't going to the theater to watch them; they're not watching the movies at all.
Hmm.
Like, they're not. There's nothing to be excited about. Like, when's the last time you're like, oh man, I can't wait till this whatever comes out? Like, what, John Wick 4 is coming out? Maybe that's the only thing. But even with the kids, there's not like anticipation for like, oh my god, there's that next thing's coming out. It's gonna be big.
Well, to me, I care less about John Wick 4. I never saw 2 or 3. I thought the first one, you know what? I'll say it again. The first one reminded me of me watching Swamp People. And this is why. For those that don't know what Swamp People is, and I've never watched a full episode of Swamp People, but I'm a History Channel guy, I'm a Discovery Channel guy. I go through these things, and every once in a while, I'll sit on it. I once watched that show for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Um, it should have been named Gator Pop Shots, because the entire show is these guys going around a swamp with two people and a wrangler and a shotgun and shooting gators in the head again
Yep.
and
Yeah, shoot
again
them in the brain.
and again. So when I watched John Wick, and you watch maybe the first 10, 15 minutes after his dog dies, it's like watching Swamp People. Just substitute the
Yeah.
gator for human beings.
Just that's the fanciest way we can come up with this guy shooting people.
It's almost like, a dance fest, right? It looks more
Yeah.
like that than it even does an action movie. It's incredibly popular, and I would say that Keanu Reeves is actually one of the very last movie stars out there that can kind of
Well,
command.
I mean, the reason I think it is popular is because it's not a lot of camera tricks. It's one shot stuff where he's going through a whole series of stuff and he has to shoot all these people, and it's like one shot, and that's really it's more than just acting. It's like you're watching a stunt.
Well, I'd say this: I don't think you're
Evil
wrong,
Knievel type stuff with guns.
right? That was kind of like the appeal of the Jason Statham movies and the Transporter series, another series I couldn't really watch. I need a little more meat on the bone. I couldn't even do like the last Die Hard was over the top. Like, I need some kind of semblance of there could be a reality there. But I also think, aside from the culture and the fact that millennials are very much on their phone and there's a new type of celebrity and they're not getting out as much
Mhm.
anymore, I heard Quentin Tarantino say something that I thought was actually really, really smart. And he said, look, it used to be you went to the movies to see your favorite movie star in the new movie. And in my era, in your era, that was pretty much right, right? Like I would say for instance, you watched Forrest Gump in
With
1994.
certain people, it was. I mean, oh, you're gonna see the new Schwarzenegger movie, the new Stallone movie, the new Van Damme movie.
New
Yeah,
Tom Hanks movie, right? It wasn't always just an action star. There were actually people that, did a range of things. Robin Williams would be another one, right? Oh, I didn't check out The Road to Perdition because it wasn't a Tom Hanks movie. I did. It was Paul Newman, Tom Hanks. Oh, I like these actors. I'm going to see it. The movies that now dominate are the Marvel films. And essentially what
people in
Tarantino said,
costumes. Yeah,
well, he says that the characters themselves are now the stars. No one cares who's actually playing Thor or
yeah,
who's playing Spider-Man. They know they're going to
yep.
get their action fix, so they're
No, there's
interchangeable.
a nice oh my god, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank. Iceman from Top Gun, right?
Val Kilmer.
When he played, yeah, when he played Batman, that was I remember they did a documentary of him recently because he had the whole throat issues and stuff. Val Kilmer, right?
I watched it. I
And
thought it was excellent.
he had there's a little documentary about him. It's really great. I suggest everybody watch it. He's got a bunch of videos. He's been videoing himself for a long time, and seeing stuff from the past is pretty interaction with him and um the one old great actor laying on the cot. It's like push, give me a push. Uh,
I
the
forget.
Godfather,
Oh, Brando.
Brando. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Brando's push, push. He's telling him to push him in a cot. It's hilarious. But like he's talking about how they really struggle with that role of Batman. He's like, oh, like I'm not here to act. I'm not here to put my like version of Batman into it. I'm just a hanger. I'm just here to wear the suit.
Which I think he was correct at, and that was
Yeah.
before everybody could put out a superhero movie. They still weren't viable. Marvel was trying to pepper in their stuff, but it was never that successful. It wasn't really until I'd say the late '90s with Marvel and the success of Sony. And,
Could you think some of what the movie industry falling off could be attributed to is the fact that humans don't like the newer generations, they don't have like real personal human interactions anymore.
yeah,
All they have is make believe and fantasy stuff. So like that's the only thing they can identify with is video games and fantasy stuff. So if you have like two people on screen having a conversation that's like a deep, meaningful, like emotional, whatever, that would be in a normal, blockbuster movie. Today they're just like, oh, this makes me feel uncomfortable and I have anxiety from it.
no, I agree. I actually talked about that yesterday, or I guess it would be this morning. It's tough for me to tell. I did a extra broadcast yesterday, and then I did the pre-record for Red Voice Media. But I was discussing how this generation has been socially engineered to, like you said, be more adept to communicate with people through this device, through social media, through apps like Instagram, right? It's created a new celebrity culture, and at the same time, it's created a lot of people want to call the males incels, but the females, in my opinion, are just as guilty. They're not going out more, they're not socializing more. There's a certain sect of these millennials and Gen Zers that are just more comfortable being at home, interacting with human beings virtually, whereas our generation, right, the weekend came, John. Boy, I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't wait to go out with my friends and go see a movie, even if it sucked, just to get out of the house and get away from my parents. It was also a great place.
I saw a woman was doing an interview because she's making money now. She helps Gen Zers with their fears of talking on the phone when they're like trying to get jobs. So like, her whole job is she's a coach to coach people how to like talk on the phone so that they're not too freaked out talking on the phone so they can get a job someday.
That's insanity. That shows that the verbal communication skills, even without the visual ones, are not stellar. But again, going back to my generation, those Friday and Saturday moments, if you're lucky to have a three day weekend, Thursday would be another one, was hey, let's get together. Let's go to the Ponderosa and get the all you can eat buffet. And then let's go to the movie theater out and whatever the hit film is, we're all going to sit around and watch that. And then, honestly, we would get together. And if we couldn't find somewhere to go hang out and play pool or whatever, we'd watch another movie. That's culturally usually what you did in the background. I think that culture is very much over, and the push to not only isolate people, but then bring them into the metaverse. So a lot of people will have their sole interactions with their friends groups via online video games in a headset, right? And that's where they do their talking. You know, I'm around the corner. Get the commander. It's Modern Warfare 4. You've talked about this. We got to get the golden shoes. And that's their interaction because they not only want to push them into a virtual universe, the metaverse in particular, but then get them to identify as fluid. You know, eventually, you know, you can be this. This is your real identity. Hey, all your friends are here. This is your avatar. Your avatar can be
Mhm.
you. And encourage people to further disassociate themselves from human interactions so you're not really human anymore.
Embrace a virtual world rather than identify or take take the consequences that come with the actual reality of world.
That's right, buddy. Like, again, in the real world, actions have consequences. In the virtual world, it's like an eternal safe space. Oh, that person didn't say something I liked. Go to another virtual room, play another game, interact with somebody else. You don't even have to walk away from them. You can literally hit a button and you leave
Yep.
that area. Whereas, hey, sometimes people don't let you walk away from situations. Situations are tough out there, John. It's tough all over. A lot of people don't acknowledge that stuff. They need to acknowledge it. I don't know that we're ever going to have that renaissance again where individuals are getting together more and more. I will say this. At least in the area I am now, I've seen malls across the country just be decimated. I don't know how it is in
Mhm.
California, where you are.
They're still malls are still pretty popular, pretty kicking because it's the main place to go.
You know, here where I am in Virginia, I'm constantly shocked how busy the local, I think it's Potomac Mills Mall is.
Well, I mean, I've talked about this with friends and people before, but it's the fake man, it's like the fake finances. Everybody pretends they have money now. It's what's going on. You know, like everybody, whether they have jobs or not, everybody's putting everything on credit. Everybody's getting the fancy shoes, the fancy belt, the fancy car, the keeping up with the Joneses stuff. I got the name brand stuff. Like everybody can have that now. It doesn't mean you have money. It just means that you owe people money more than likely.
You're not wrong. Again, we're on a
Because
culture of
everybody, you know,
credit.
oh, I got the Gucci, I got the whatever shoes, I got this Tesla, I got the whatever. Well, it's all no, you don't own any of it. It's all on credit. It's all owed. It's all debt.
And even
So
if you're
like you
buying into
have
that, man,
time promised to somebody else. It's like indentured servitude.
well, to me,
Okay, you
it's
got a fancy
also,
belt right now, but now you have to slave away all week long at a job you hate.
or just collect, welfare or some
You
other
know,
type of subsistence or live in your
collect
parents'
welfare and
basement.
more debt.
Well, there's 7 million males not working in this country that are work ready. I know some of them. And yeah, you're pathetic. You're in your 30s, you're not working, you're living off your girlfriend or your wife or your parents. It's sad. It's really, really sad. Now, hey, if you're a home dad and your wife's just making the buco bucks and you're raising two, three kids, that's fine. That to me is a job. But most of you aren't. Most of you, unfortunately, just like the Tuckster says, and I'll give him credit, are immersed in online video games and pornography for the most part, the
Mhm.
majority of the day. And you're not getting anywhere. I got news for most people. You're not going to be pro gamers. You're not going to be millionaire live
That's the thing. I
streamers.
don't think most. I don't. They don't care. I don't think they care anymore. Men are checking out. They're checking out in droves because they've had it. Because they don't see that society is giving anything to them. So why should they put in any effort? I think that's a big part of it. It's not like, oh, if I study hard, I get the grades, I get the job. Now I've got the job, the house. Now I'm going to get the woman, and she's going to love me and take care of me. And those things aren't available anymore. Everybody's obese. Everybody's in massive debt. Nobody wants to have kids anymore. So guys are just unplugging. Guys are checking out and being like, you know what? I'm done. If I can just watch porn and play video games until I die, I'm good.
That seems like, I mean, such a
I'm not saying
vapid.
that's good. I'm not saying it's a positive turn, but I get it. I understand.
I mean, it's just such an empty existence, man. Nothing I've ever gotten that I've been super proud of, or other people have been like, damn, isn't something that I worked for. You know what I mean? We all have our lucky moments, but luck to me is like 90% work and preparation. And then there's that
Mhm.
10% push because you've been doing something over and over and over and over again. A lot of people don't like to acknowledge that. It kind of brings us back to the beginning is you make your own luck. You know, you make your own luck. So if you were to speak to some people that are maybe waiting for that January 1st moment, what are some of the things that they can, I mean, they don't have to wait till January 1st, but they can start doing right now to improve their situation? Because look, those are empty endorphin hits.
Mhm.
Oh, you just came in first in the group battle, or you just beat that level. That there's a
Yep.
time and a
It's
place.
virtual. You
Yeah.
need the real stuff. One of the easiest thing, first thing most people can do is exercise. Start working out. Even if you're just going to take a 20-minute walk a day, start off with that. Take a 20-minute walk a day for the first week, and then start doing some resistance band training or some body weight training. Do some push-ups and sit-ups and free squats. Okay. I've got programs on my Gumroad. You can check those out. Like, just get moving. Once you start getting moving, you start feeling a little bit better. You have more energy. You start getting more confident because you're looking better. Then you start adding other things you can work on and change.
I
It goes
totally
from there.
agree. You know, physical health and mental health, in my opinion, go hand in hand. And no matter how ugly your mug is, take a look, guys. It ain't that pretty. You can improve upon your overall appearance by being physically fit. You know, it was a great example of that. Does anybody out there who knows who Robert Frank is think that guy's got a stunning face? Hell no. The guy's in his mid 40s, maybe early 50s at this point. He's bald. Okay. His face, you can only really see his eyeballs because his beard is this big and dyed black. He's created a persona. He's used his personality to create that persona, and then he's built a physical appearance on top of that. And I would say that's what probably makes him attractive to other sexes. There's plenty of ugly guys and gals that get fit that do all right, John.
Yep.
And you know, the other thing is that to act like human beings aren't attracted to things outside of the physical realm, we are. I am. I'm attracted to somebody who is motivated. I am attracted to somebody who is intelligent and can carry on a conversation. I am attracted to somebody who can be in a situation and use their intellect to dominate that situation. There are a multitude of things that attract me to someone outside of their physical appearance. However, improving one's physical appearance gives you a better chance for other people to see those qualities, John.
Yes.
I,
Yes.
again, anybody in the bar game will tell you, you know, when my shoulders are popping, there's more people. Oh, hi. I get more highs. I get more, oh, come on over.
Yep. You got broad shoulders, strong looking arms. You're going to get more attention.
It's just the way it is. It's the way of the world. All right,
You
let's
can
jump into
be
some of the
angry at it
stories.
or you can use it to your advantage.
Look, there aren't a multitude of guys out there that are looking for a bodybuilder chick by any means, but a fit woman, sure. Someone who's confident in their physical appearance, sure. It gives you no matter what sex you are, it gives you a certain glow, in my opinion. And speaking of glows, I thought, in my opinion, that Carrie Lake had a hell of a glow. But as you can see here, not only has a judge thrown out her lawsuit, remember, no trial by jury. If you're a large corporation like, I don't know, a voting company, you'll sue people into the ground. They'll let you have that trial. They'll let you um, have a situation where you can literally bankrupt a multimillionaire, someone like a Mike Lindell. That's okay. You run for office and you challenge the person who's in charge of the legal system in that state. There are a ton of outward anomalies. You don't get your day in court. A judge says, no, 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 no. And then that establishment hack who refused to debate you in the first place files court papers to try to have you sanctioned after the fact, to try to have you challenging what seemed like outward corruption become
It's
not
wild.
only political but criminal, John. What are your thoughts on that situation?
It's wild. We're in an era where you can blatantly be, unscrupulous politician rigging things and whatever, but we're still not quite at the point where we can just like wink and slip 100 to the cop to let us go. We're right there. We're right on the heels.
You know what? I don't know, man. I feel like we kind of are in that banana republic style. Don't get me wrong. There's crooked
We're
cops
not we're
everywhere.
not far off. We are not with you can do stuff like that. We're not far off from like, hey buddy, hey, I know how that licensing works. Hey, check my other pocket.
Well,
I think my signed papers are in there, huh?
look, the way I'm looking at this
So it
thing,
reminds me of we left Thailand once. We had a bunch of DVDs, and it's not allowed. Or no, it was Vietnam. We're leaving, and you're not supposed to buy the $1 DVDs there. It's illegal. So when they see you at a stack of DVDs coming back over, getting on the plane, they're supposed to stop you and confiscate it.
mhm.
You just throw like 10 baht or whatever on the thing. They're like, okay, keep going, go ahead. Like we're right there. It's happening. It's coming.
I don't disagree, especially because it seems more and more that we want less and less qualified people in these positions within the Department of Justice, within the Federal Bureau of Investigations, within even local law enforcement. We're, in my opinion, outwardly putting puppet candidates that are very malleable and clearly not in charge of anything, don't have original thoughts in their head, in big states like Pennsylvania with Fetterman, in states like Arizona, where, again, Kerry Lake loses, Blake Masters loses, in states like Georgia, where whether you like Herschel Walker or not, seemed to me he probably took that one. But nope, we're going to have a runoff, and all of a sudden it's Warnock Town, USA, and there is no reprieve whatsoever for Herschel Walker. You say these things, you're an election denier, John. You're evil. You can't
Risk to
question.
democracy.
I mean, we're in a tough spot. Wanted to go over some of the other stories out there. I've been talking about how the Central Intelligence Agency and the U.S. Armed Forces, whether it is by proxies and mercenary groups, other governments, are clearly running what is going on in Ukraine on the border and now into Russia openly with this U.S. Patriot missile system that has been sent to Ukraine. And Putin has said he's going to destroy it. The Western media outlets are constantly trying to say this is the last year for Putin. Putin's dying. Putin has cancer. Putin has nerve disorders. I don't know if you're seeing these stories, but they always point to like a short video where his hand maybe moves a little funny or he's shaking his leg. What are your thoughts on that?
Who I've stopped believing anything any of those people have said for a long time. I pretty much go. I used to go, okay, well, I'll take that into account, and then I'll weigh it against some other facts from other sources, and then I'll decide from there what to think. Now, the second I hear them saying anything, I just immediately think the opposite. I'm like, oh shit, Putin's got hero serum. He's benching like 10 grizzly bears at once. He's gonna live forever. He's part robot. You just have to go the exact opposite, whatever they tell you. If they tell you that the sky is blue, just be sure it's not blue.
You know, I hate to invoke the Tuckster twice in one episode, but I think I'm going to have to do it because Tucker Carlson, I believe it was on Friday's pre Christmas piece, he talked about John Brennan. And he talked about his role in the Central Intelligence Agency in the Barack Obama administration, and essentially how he is a paid mouthpiece in these news outlets for establishment propaganda. And he just said, look, we're now at a point where you should probably thank John Brennan for coming on TV and saying anything that he says, because you know when John Brennan says it, almost assuredly the complete and total opposite is true. So you can take that to the bank when that guy comes on TV. And just like you said, that's usually where I gravitate towards, is if I see somebody
Yep.
like a John Brennan or even a Karl Rove on the right side say something, almost immediately I know that there is at least some deception in that statement, and even
Yep.
possibly more deception than I realized, John.
There's some form of narrative control going on. Those guys don't just show up. They don't just show up for no reason, just shits and giggles.
No.
Like they're there for some specific reason to get you to think a certain way.
And look, to the Musker Nuts' credit, we played it on the show yesterday, or actually it was in this morning, where he says that almost every single conspiracy theory about quote unquote Twitter turned out to be true. Now, once again, if you were paying attention to them,
We all knew this. It wasn't a surprise to any of us. We're like, oh, where you been? Where you been? Oh, now we have the evidence that we've been telling the rest of you people about for the last how many years? Decade?
it's not even just the evidence. Now we're getting the internal emails, at least published by these journalists that have access to them. I want the full document dump. Let me say it again. I want the full document dump. I want the full document dump. I want to be able to do my own threads based on the source material. I want to do my own videos based on the source material. But just like you said, in alliance with, say, this story right here, which I think is extremely important. CIA is behind a... oh, sorry, wrong one. That's not the one I'm looking for. Where are we? No, that wasn't it either. Is it all the way back here? Yes, it is. Spooks infiltrate Silicon Valley. Facebook is riddled with ex-CIA agents, including President's briefer, who now runs harmful content team. So many ex-FBI work at Twitter, they have Slack channel, and Google is rife with ex-CIA. It's
Oh
like...
wow! So all this stuff we were talking about for years about how these social media companies are actually government assets. Wow! What a shocker! Total shocker, Jason. We never would have thought that or brought that up every week when we talk to each other.
it's it's literally like looking outside and saying, "Hey, the sky's blue and the sun is bright and water is wet."
Wow, man.
Like, this stuff
Water
has
is
been
wet.
out there. So yeah, they weren't conspiracy theories. They were outward policies being parroted by Twitter and others. It was in their terms of service. A lot of these people that work there had it in their profile via LinkedIn. You already had partnerships for authoritative sources via media outlets like Vox. Vox is an authoritative source? No. No, it's not.
Nope.
No. Seriously, like, again, this is the world we live in.
It's like a teeny. I always thought it was like a teeny girl magazine.
Well,
Like 13, 14-year-old.
it promoted that one gentleman, if you will, that was constantly going against toxic masculinity and such. And I'm pretty sure he was either, I don't know if he's gay or he's non-binary. He certainly looks malnourished, but he might as well, like you said, been like the projection of a little girl. Ooh, you're a sexist, Jason. Oh, you're a bigot. Look, I don't need some malnourished, hipster, leftist establishment journalist telling me what's reality when I can look at the source material myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I can read it because, I have an education. And most people, just so you know, all you need to get to is about the 4th grade. You get to the 4th grade, they teach you most words.
Yep.
You can read most things.
You can write in cursive and read in cursive.
Cursive's over, bro. I sign checks now. I know checks are over too, but when I sign checks, I use the cursive. People are blown away.
Mind blown.
Yeah, you wrote the amount of the money in cursive? I'm like, yeah, I'm 43. They still taught it then. They don't even bother. It's all I struggled with typing as a kid, probably because it was a new technology. The next generation kids, they were sitting down at a desktop by, 5 to 10 years old on that
Yep.
keyboard. I was this guy.
Yeah, I had an English teacher in college who pulled me aside and told me I had to start writing all my assignments in typewriter or whatever type
Mm-hmm.
because I was turning them in handwritten in pencil. She don't want to read that shit anymore.
I, I come
It's like,
from
look,
that.
John, you can't do this. You can't write on this paper anymore.
Mhm.
You need to type this stuff. It took me so much longer to write.
Oh my God. Well, all right. So I got through it in high school, but it hurt. Like I ended up getting carpal tunnel. I was always really uncomfortable with it for some reason. It wasn't until the college days of interacting with like the graphics programs I use now, not a lot of typing, that I became comfortable with that layout. So it did take quite a time, but we still come from that era where, you bought your kid a word processor, right? You still couldn't afford maybe the desktop that was like
Mm-hmm.
$2,000.
Yeah.
Laptops were in that, there were no budget, there were no Chromebooks. It wasn't that way. So your mom or dad, if you didn't need the full computer experience because the internet, you're talking about downloading a picture and you'd watch it develop all the way down. Be like, oh wow, I got a picture. They'd buy you a word processor and you'd sit there on it and you'd type it up, and it would also have like a printer inside of it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how at least a lot of my college roommates themselves utilized that tool. I just think there's something to be said with the written word, with learning something like cursive, not just as a legacy thing, but in case you have to use paper and a pencil or a pad and a pen, if you don't have access to your magic device for some reason, or a Chromebook or a desktop, it doesn't hurt to have those skill sets, yet we're losing those skill sets among others all the time. All right, I want to keep hitting some of these stories down the line. And again, I hope everybody's going to have a big, happy New Year's. You got any plans on New Year's other than maybe the Bellator event?
Yeah, probably trying to catch a Bellator event. That's about it. I don't have a lot of, just kind of just waiting, stocking up, getting ready for birthday season, which is February. So
Oh, for your
we're
boys?
good. Yeah, me and the boys, we have a birthday week, so that's the next big thing we gotta get taken care of.
It'll be there before you know it. Again, this year ended before you knew it, guys. We're in
It's
2023
fast,
next week.
man. It's moving fast.
I was playing some clips this morning of me talking about Elon Musk from July of 2020. Okay. And then I also got a hold of my footage from January 6th, 2020, which, John, a month, not even a month, in a week and a half from today, that event is going to be 3 years old, January 6th.
Hmm.
And I just want people to think for themselves how that has been stretched out, how it has been utilized to demonize a vast majority of people, criminalize certain activities that are not criminal, and even be weaponized against whether you like Trump or not. They're talking about prosecuting him somehow based on recommendations from a sham committee, a committee that played clips of Alex Jones and Tim Pool in context with a Hollyweird producer. They used a Hollyweird producer for a committee hearing that never had a real schedule, that they tried to televise, that completely failed, and they still push via their great narrative, John.
It's wild. It's wild.
It's
They're
con-
putting on this show and nobody's buying it. They just keep doing the dance.
well, I think about 20 to 30% of Americans are buying it. That was a discussion I had with Jeff Shipley, who is a state senator in Iowa. And we said, well, if you have 20 to 30% of, say, the voting population or the outwardly political population, you can then utilize your alliances with big tech because they are just an extension of government narratives to push the idea it's not 20 to 30% and it's 50 to 70%, right? That it's half the country or more than half the country.
Hmm.
And you can continually demonize another group that, in fact, is a lot larger. We're constantly being gaslit into these situations. All right. Moving on, I got this story, and this one might be a little weird for people, but I think it's important to note. Mexico's most powerful drug cartel hands out Christmas gifts to children lined up along parade route just blocks away
Yep.
from the police station. And here you can see it. This is them. They got oodles of gifts on the back. You can see it right here. And there's another.
Yeah, Pablo Escobar used to build soccer fields, used to do all kinds of stuff for the poor. Dana White and UFC has put money into a lot of organizations and people and things with money that they stole from fighters.
And you know, you talked about Americanized sports gangsters, but let's just talk about American gangsters in general. People wonder why these cartels are so popular with people. Number one, people like illegal activity, right? They like the drugs, they like the women, they like some of the things that are provided by the cartels, but also they're part of the community in many cases. They're the ones in the favelas that are ensuring that on Christmas you're able to give your kids gifts or have a meal. You look at New Jack City, and I'm bringing up the movie for a minute, right? But one of the things they did in New Jack City was at Christmas or Thanksgiving time, they'd roll up with a truck and they give everybody a turkey, right? You'd
Yep.
have your turkey. John
That's
Gotti.
the age old. That's the age old gangster tactic.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta make the people around you that you're exploiting the most. You gotta take care of them. You gotta make them think that you're the hero and you're the one that keeps them safe. It's the whole grift, right? You send the guys in to beat them up, so they give you money, so they don't those guys don't beat you up anymore. But now you're the hero because look, I'm keeping all the guys from beating you up. Look how great person I am. When you're the one sending the people in there and to beat them up in the first place.
Well, again, John Gotti used to be famous for that, right? He'd do the same thing. He'd have the big parties for the 4th of
John
July,
Gotti.
the
What's his
fireworks.
name from Running Man? The announcer in Running Man.
Yeah, no, yeah, the guy from
Everybody thinks he's a great guy. He's giving away free prizes to people. Oh, you love him, but he's really a piece of shit.
you know that man, it's killing me because I put that in the intro. That's him. The who loves you and who do you love?
Mm-hmm.
But
Who do you love?
it's killing me because I can't remember what his name is. But he was the host of Family Feud, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he
He was
was.
original. He was like the original drunk host,
There
kissing
are so
everybody.
many clips of him grabbing women and kissing women.
His face is just red. He was like that was Rat Pack era.
But he was a huge celebrity. And
Yeah.
honestly, when he took that role in Running Man, I'm pretty sure that was the end of his career at the Family Feud and a game show host. And
Mm.
I think Roy Combs had actually taken over because that was like 86, 87, or it was towards the end. And I thought he did an amazing job acting in that film, but kind of showing you behind the scenes, pulling the veil back on entertainment. One of the reasons that movie is so incredible anyway, because it shows not only deep fakes in real time, false realities, gives you that American Gladiator slash Coliseum style, even a precursor to the Squid Games, right? The idea that it's okay to treat these people that way because they're quote unquote evil, being able to create villains. But like you said, the real villain is the game show host who is portrayed as the hero. So, boy, that's a movie. If people haven't seen it, The Running Man stands up to this day, and it's something I hope people check out. There's a reason that I put it in the intro. Okay, let's move on a little bit. Jamie Raskin, one of the worst establishment politicians out there. Electoral college is a danger to the American people. No, Jamie Raskin, consolidation of power is a
Hmm.
danger to the American
Yes.
people.
The growth of government, too much government. The thing that the Constitution was designed to keep away from the people. That's what's threatening us.
Well, one of the things that's so empowering about the Electoral College is how it really adheres to and empowers states' rights. And that we're not just going to live in a society of mob rule or quote unquote democracy. Everybody thinks it's democracy. No, it's a constitutional republic with democratic principles. I don't want a democracy where California and New York decide what's going on in the rest of the country. And with the rife corruption that we've seen in New York and California, again, call me kooky. I don't believe Gavin Newsom legitimately won the runoff. I think California wanted to recall him for a reason. You live there. Give your thoughts on that, John.
California feels like a hopeless landscape because you won't even get Republican stuff on any of the tickets in a lot of the big cities. It's very frustrating. You have to vote for far left or a little bit less far left with everything. So it's yeah, it's frustrating. I'm sure there's ways around it. I'm sure that the Republicans can get their stuff together and do some ballot harvesting, just like the Democrats. I'm sure there's ways around it, and that's the reason we don't have secure voting systems is because both sides are cheating, and neither one wants to get caught. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I'm almost like sitting here waiting for the collapse so we can go to warlordism and fight to reintroduce and reestablish the Constitution.
We'll see where it goes
Because
from
it
here.
doesn't feel like we're going to vote our way out of this.
No, we're not voting our way out of it, especially with people like Raskin out there and a complicit media. I just wanted to read this headline. January 6th panel's body of work boosts DOJ case against Trump, experts say. So, my point of showing that
Those
is
experts, they've never gotten anything wrong.
I'm glad you said that because it's you put the word expert next to something and you've got a headline. In no way, shape, or form did anything by the January 6th committee boost a criminal case against Trump. Zero. Let me repeat that. Zero.
Nothing.
The reality is Trump did try to have the National Guard and security at the Capitol before January 6th. That's a reality. Okay? That's not a conspiracy theory. And yes, Nancy Pelosi and General Milley said no, 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 because they're treasonous. They're
Hmm.
treasonous, and they're being portrayed as the heroes. They're the ones being followed around by film crews and then being presented via the media and the Hollyweird machine as trying to save democracy and save the country. No, thank you. No, thank you. Get it out of here. Goodbye. I don't need your experts. I don't need your Pelosi nonsense. All right, let's take a look at this Bellator card. It is Mixed Martial Mindset. It's the
Hmm.
first card in a couple of weeks. I'm actually kind of excited about it because there's not a lot going on. They haven't shown
Cross
you any
promotional
prelims.
event is also something that's very positive. Something that if to me the most glaring thing in the world that other promoters don't care at all about trying to compete with the UFC and they're all happy with the way things are is the fact that they don't cross promote more often. You could create a very viable and lucrative market outside of the UFC's monopoly if these other promotions decided to do these cross promotions, have independent titles, have independent rankings. You would be able to drive up a lot of the revenue.
Before we go over that Bellator event, then I did see you retweet Morning Combat and Luke. What's his
Mhm.
name?
Yeah, I know you're saying Luke Thomas, and yeah, it looks like we're going to get the Ali Act reintroduced in 2023. We now have Mark Wayne Mullen was a congressperson before and now a senator. So now the introducer of that bill is a more powerful person, and we're going to be reattacking it hopefully come this next year.
Well, that's good news because I think that obviously needs to have more light shed on it, and like you said, the more competition, the better. Uh, this card seems really exciting, except for they haven't shown any prelims. I'm not sure if there's going to be a certain amount of this that's only shown in Japan or the Asian markets or through Ryzen instead of Showtime and Bellator. But we got Roberto Satoshi Souza, who is excellent in that organization, going up against AJ McKee. Honestly, I think that's kind of a dangerous fight for McKee. Should be exciting. You got Patricio Pitbull fighting a guy with 36 fights. And the Pitbull brothers haven't fared so well over in Asia in Ryzen, by the way. You got Horiguchi Ogamabu. I don't know much about Hiramosa. That should be an interesting fight. However, anything with Horiguchi, I'm willing to watch. Archuleta fighting Soo Chul
Yep.
Kim. I know I like that fight too.
Suchul Kim,
And then this is the other one, Takeda versus Rabadanov.
Rabadanov.
Should
Yeah,
be.
so interesting matchups, interesting fights. It's good to see.
I
Cross
agree.
promotion.
I'm pumped about it. Again, I want more than 5 fights. I'm fiending. I haven't watched live fights now in almost 2 weeks. That's not normal for Jason Bermas. We're spoiled. They're not even any YouTube fights or Carney boxing fights out there. Although I
Yeah.
think that you think 2022 was a big year for Carney boxing fights. I think that space is only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Because people like watching people beat the crap out of each other. Period. They do. And you're going to have, the slap boxing stuff is going to get pushed a lot more in the next year. The Carney boxing style matches, because you have all kinds of creators all the time picking shots at each other and people calling each other out. And okay, let's do a boxing match. They did like the creators clash or something like that on YouTube. A bunch of YouTube creators got together and boxed. And I think that's just going to continue because bread and circus, man, people want to watch a cheap thrill of people punching each other, getting knocked out one way or another, usually entertained when you put together some kind of carnival fights like that.
I'm a big watcher of the carnival fights. I watch them all. It's my cross to bear, everybody. I watch it all.
Mm-hmm.
Fitch isn't wrong. I like a spectacle as much as the next guy. Hell, Nope was about the spectacle. Fitch, tell everybody where they can find you, what you got going on. I know you did a Fitchmas spectacular last night, and obviously
Yep. Sang some
johnfitch.net is the
songs.
web.
It was good. JohnFish.net, sign up for the newsletter. If you follow the links and stuff and go to my Gumroad, I'm doing a deal, 25% off. Just got to put in Xmas deal with an Xmas deal, and you'll get 25% off all the programs. Alrighty, do it.
I got a little flack from somebody in my DMs for daring to put Xmas in my thumbnail instead of Christmas. And apparently it's offensive to Christmas or Christians. They don't like the X.
It's shorter to spell in the code. It's a code. I usually write it out, but yeah,
I would have written it out. It was on a thumbnail and I didn't have the space. So
yeah. Got to take an artistic authority in the situation.
got to take a little license with that one. I do want to remind everybody I'm a documentary filmmaker and that all of my films are free. Loose Change Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Shade the Motion Picture, and of course, Invisible Empire, A New World Order to Find. Watch them, share them, love them. We're everywhere. We're on Podbean. We're over at Rumble. You can check us out over at redvoicemedia.com/Jason. It's not just a blank slate. I promise you. That's how you sign up. I will be back live in the morning. I'll also be hosting America Media Periscope's show, Making Sense of the Madness, over the next couple of days. I think that's on a Tuesday and Thursday. It's on the 27th and 29th, and then I'll also be doing January 3rd. I will be back on the road in the middle of the month speaking at the Reawaken America Tour in Nashville, Tennessee. And Fitch and I will be back post 2022 in the 2023 mix next week.
Yep.
John, thank
Yep.
you so much for joining us.
All right, guys. Check y'all later.
Later, everybody.